I am so happy that you're able to join us for this extended interview. Make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to get more killer resources. Hey friend, are you looking to land a remote gig ASAP? Well, did you know that we not only have a ton of online jobs you can apply to on our site, but now we are also sending them straight to your inbox. I'm happy to announce that we will be sending our email subscribers legit online jobs every Wednesday. We have done hours of research so you don't have to. If you want to be the first one to hear about the remote gigs we find, go to theoffbeatlife.com to subscribe. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming back for this extended interview with Shoshanna, where she's going to share how you can save while you're traveling as a freelancer. Hey, how are you? Thanks so much for coming back with us.
Yeah, thank you. I love this topic.
Before we get to your amazing tips and tricks, can you tell us a little bit more about you and why you live an offbeat life?
Yeah, definitely. For me, freedom, flexibility, and travel are high on my priority list. And I think that thinking about your life and what's important to you and kind of reverse engineering from there is one of the best ways to live. So I decided that I wanted to try to create a new opportunity for myself, even though I had no experience in writing. I wanted to go become a yoga teacher and try out this digital nomad thing. And the universe really rolled out the red carpet in the beginning, and it surprised me how well it worked. And there's been ups and downs and highs and lows and all the in between. But 5 years later, I definitely wouldn't go back to the corporate world that I was in, my consulting job. So very grateful for this opportunity, and always love connecting with people who are also living the offbeat life. So I'm so stoked to be on here.
And it's amazing what can happen once you finally take that leap and you do it, right? There's so many things that you didn't know you were capable of until you put yourself in these uncomfortable situations, and you were able to do that. And for our initial interview, you talked a little bit about it. We touched up on it, but not too much. How you actually left New York, you were a consultant, you saved $3,000, you had $3,000 in your pocket, and you were able to save these last few years, and you exploded that savings, and you actually saved $100,000, and you were doing that as a freelancer. So that is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think a lot of people don't like to talk about, right? Especially like in some of the worlds I work in, like yoga and spirituality, people are like, oh, money. But really shifting your money mindset towards, I'm going to have a good relationship with money, and I'm going to invest, and I'm going to make my money work for me is something that's really important. And I'm so grateful for my business background, my economics background, and my first freelance gig, which was working for Investopedia. They were actually my longest job. So I just stopped with them a few months ago as I step into my other stuff. But I'm so grateful for that job, because as I was traveling and teaching yoga behind the scenes, I was writing articles about business trends and certain stocks and consumer and tech companies. And I was realizing, oh, I should start investing. So I didn't like make 100,000 off Bitcoin, but I did make I was like, okay, I can take a little bet on Bitcoin, and made like $5,000 on Bitcoin, which is kind of a speculative investment. So I wouldn't say do speculative investing, but I would say like take advantage of the apps like Robinhood or Wealthfront, apps that will take $100 from your bank account every week, every month, however much you want, and they'll put it into a fund that's basically already diversified for you. So you really don't have to do anything. You just, answer some questions so they know your risk profile. But I'd say that's a really good tip. And that actually helped me grow my savings a lot by putting a lot into the market, which of course don't look at it every day. It'll make your stomach drop sometimes. But as long as you there are so many free resources out there. I actually used to write for a website called the Smart Wallet, and I wrote an article called What is Micro Investing and How to Start. And that's a great place to start. Like, look up some micro investing apps, and that's a great way to put your money to work. You can start them with $5. Like, that's definitely a hack that I think a lot of people don't know. And I get like kind of nerdy about finance, which people would find very surprising about me. Like, literally, I think that's like a big hidden fact about me, because I'm like, I love that all these tools are democratizing access to these products and services that once only super high net worth wealthy individuals had. And so now that anyone can use them, I think we should really take advantage of them. That's my whole spiel on that.
I know looks can be deceiving because people look at you, they don't normally think of a yoga instructor as someone who's also financially savvy, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. I remember like when I used to be doing the Investopedia stuff a lot, like I'd meet someone in the airport and I'm wearing my elephant pants and my India like scarf, and they're just like, oh yeah, I work in New York, do finance, like what do you do, asking me, and I'm like, yeah, I write about business and I write for Investopedia, and they're like, oh, what? I'm sorry. And I think that's also part of what I try to tell people too, is like, yes, I'm shifting away from that, and I don't write about that anymore, but it wasn't this quick transition from me working this job I hated to leading retreats around the world and, having a coaching program. It was kind of like, all right, how do I niche down to something that like might actually still be interesting to me, but I don't have to go to an office and not be excited about waking up every day. I can wake up wherever I want, but maybe I'm not going to love the 2 hours that I spend writing about whatever I'm assigned that day. And I actually found it still kind of nice, but yeah, knowing that it's not always going to be a swift transition, and to be okay with that. And actually, I love the book Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert. She's amazing. She talks about how she didn't quit her job until she was like 4 books in, until Eat, Pray, Love was like already a success. And she's like, this idea of the starving artist is not sexy. Like, get that out of your mind, because you're going to end up hating your passion project if you put the financial stress on it. Like, have something else that, kind of feeds you, so that your work is like this fun romantic relationship, and you will make time for it if you love it.
I always have to say that too, is, you're completely right. There's so many creatives out there that feel like they're selling out, or, it's not supposed to be like this. It's not about the money. I'm like, yeah, it isn't about the money. But if you don't have that, then you're always going to stay in that position. And that's why, like you said, it's so important to create income first with it before you leave something that you don't like, because at the end of the day, if you don't create income from it or anything, then you're going to go back to what you hate in the long run. So I love that insight that you just gave us.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways to do it as well. Like, maybe you don't have to Google freelance writing jobs, but you can work with your current employer and say like, hey, I want to try working remote 1 day a week. I know a lot of people probably have read 4-Hour Workweek, but like negotiating working remotely and then maybe taking that down to part-time. And so there are many different avenues to go about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, aside from investing, I know you use Robinhood. I've actually used Robinhood, and it is really easy. It's like investing for dummies, right? You don't really need to learn the market that well, and the app kind of does it for you. So with that, have you ever done what else have you done in order to take that money and make it go far and actually work for you?
Let's see. I don't really spend money on things that aren't like experiences. And I think that's like I treat myself once in a while, and I do it a lot more now. But I think having that conversation, like we talked about values, like why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I doing it for that short-term fix of external validation of thinking that people are going to like me because this, or thinking that I look like a certain way and kind of that short fix? Or am I doing it because like this is what I want out of my life. I want to go on this, who knows, safari, whatever you want to do. Or is it like I want to buy these nice brands because I think that that's something that has to do with like my level of success or how people are going to view me. And so I don't think I bought into that. I actually shied away from it a ton. And that helped me just like budget. Like I remember being like, what are people spending their money on? Like I'm making a couple $1,000s a month and I'm good. And I think it's just because I trained myself not to spend money on things I didn't need. And I found people who are in the rat race and kind of waiting for the 2-year mark until they get a promotion, that they don't actually have more money. They actually just end up buying the semi-nicer clothes and the semi-nicer, who knows, like cutlery and the semi-bigger apartment. And so they're never actually more financially free than they are. They're actually more trapped into their job because all the systems around them make it so that they need that income. So yeah, just not tying yourself to as many recurring like bills as you can. If you need a car, like buy a used car, buy a used bike. I love my used bike. So just little things like that.
Yeah, I think once you start, really living for other people and keeping up with the Joneses type of lifestyle, you definitely, even if you had $100,000, you end up with nothing very, very fast because it's just not going to work that way. And you have to live a life that will allow you to not only enjoy it but also make it more sustainable for yourself as well. And I think that's really hard for a lot of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, when you are actually doing your investments, are there anything that really helped you figure out where you needed to go in terms of that? Because that is a really hard topic for most people. I mean, apps like Robinhood is really great, but you also still kind of have to choose where you need to put your money in and also how much, right, you're investing. I mean, how did you get from just a few $1,000s and then getting that to a few $1,000s more and making sure that you're keeping up with that and it's not being lost? Because that is, it's stock market. You could pretty much lose a lot of it.
Yeah, you could. And so I think like, diversifying it into, so you have a robo advisor. It's not like you're picking your own stocks. It's like it's investing in a portfolio of exchange traded funds or ETFs. So that's basically like, say you put a bunch of different companies and their stocks into like a basket and you melt it all together and then cut up into pieces. So you're really like lowering your risk. And of course, if there's a big market crash, like it'll go down, but if you have a long horizon, it'll just go up in 10 years. So I guess if you're like in the long game, then just not worrying so much about that. And then for the short term, I'd say like you can invest, you can put your money in a high yield savings account. A lot of people don't know that as well. A lot of like Wealthfront, whatever, they'll have savings account that are like 2%, and that's compounding interest, and it's a lot more than like 0.0 something that a lot of banks will give you. So I'd say like we said, Google is your best friend, and talk to people, like ask for help. Don't be irked by the topic because it's just a reality. And like you said, like your ideas around something are a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the more you can heal that relationship with it, really abundance will come your way, because like whatever energy that you put out is what you attract. So yeah, understanding where your blockages are surrounding money and surrounding like you thinking that you are safe and financially stable, and working on that story, rewriting that narrative. And yeah, it can feel overwhelming, but there's so many tools out there. And even if you don't feel comfortable, investing in the stock market, investing in a robo advisor, it really is just the power of automated savings. Like I know we're millennials and we want to do as little as possible. We want to automate everything. So it's like automate it 100, 500, put it away somewhere you can't see it. And before you know it, you have like, you have a savings. So that's really nice as well. Like I don't think of it as something that you can use. Like, I always think of it as something that's like separate, and then what's in my account right now is like what I can use. So that's a good budgeting tip. So funny. I like don't talk about this stuff to people, but besides like people ask me about it, because you really have to, like, if you're in the space, you want to learn about it, then yeah, it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems like it's really overwhelming, but I think once you dig into it, and just take a little piece at a time, it's not going to be.
Right, exactly. And you get to choose. Like, everything is in your power. And like we said, coming back to that worth, like, you are not your bank account. Rewriting that story, like, you have built up skills and you're valuable, and like your work is worth something. And I think a lot of people get wrapped up in like, okay, well, my savings account is so important. And it's like, well, it matters, like, I guess how much you have, but what matters more is like how much you're working on yourself so that you have a high value product and service. So your experience is really worthwhile. And I think when people take a big leap of faith and they don't have, say, a big savings account, they undervalue their education, their expertise, their work experience. And I'm like, you're going to be good. Like, you are so employable. Like, yeah, live on a budget if or work remotely or whatever it is. But like, don't be afraid, because you can go back to something. And I think what people undervalue is investing in themselves so that you are the most valuable asset.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, there's always going to be jobs out there. It's never something that is irreversible. That's very rare. Thank you so much for giving us all of these tips. They were so helpful. If our listeners want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Thank you so much, Debbie. They can find me on Instagram. It's Shoshanna_Raven. That's also my website, ShoshannaRaven.com. And my podcast, Living Brave, which I hope you will be a guest on one of these days.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yes, I would love to be a guest on your show. And I really love speaking with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this extended interview with Shoshanna. Make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to get the full interview where she shares how to be a nomadic yoga teacher and earn more while you're traveling. Hey listeners, have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Lucky for you, I have created a new site that will help you learn how to launch, grow, and monetize your own show. I offer one-on-one mentorship programs, and I'm launching an ebook, How to Create a Profitable Podcast, that can help you take your podcast from hobby to profitable business. Visit howtocreateapodcast.com to learn more. Again, that's howtocreateapodcast.com. See you there. Thanks for joining me on this extended interview. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. We can also chat some more on Facebook at The OB Life. I'll talk to you soon.